so happy to have a chance just to offer a few words about my friend and somebody that I love very, very deeply. My wife Ann and I are so sorry for your loss, for our loss. We have a lot of folks who are here who are family to Joe because we've worked together in political causes. So if I could have everybody just raise your hand who got to know Joe through the party or a campaign or a candidate or working at one of our offices. If you could, there's a lot of Joe Montano friends from the causes and the campaigns who are here. We all are feeling really, really devastated that he's gone. One of my favorite psalms is Psalm 90, and the psalm says, "Teach us how short our lives are so that we may become wise." Teach us how short our lives are so that we may become wise. I think the shock of Joe's death was because he was a young man. And that makes it so surprising and so hard to deal with. But what the psalmist is telling us is whether you die at age 47 or 97, our lives are short. It really doesn't make any difference. Our lives are short. And so what is the meaning of that psalm? Teach us how short our lives are so that we may become wise. And what the psalmist is telling us is this. Our lives are very short. And if we fully grasp how short they are, then we will care about the things that matter, and we will let go of the things that don't matter. We will become wise in knowing what matters and what doesn't if we fully grasp how short our lives are. Joe knew what mattered. He knew what mattered, and he lived that way. Family, friends, making people laugh, making people smile, laughing yourself, spending your energies for causes that you care about, valuing the simple things in life. Joe knew that our lives are short, and he had a wisdom about him and a joy about him in what he did that he brought to every occasion. I met Joe when I was running for lieutenant governor in 2001. And over the years, he worked on my campaigns for lieutenant governor and governor and senate. He worked on others' campaigns in this room, and I would see him as he worked for other candidates. He is known to people all over this Commonwealth, Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, Richmond, Western Virginia, and people beyond. When I was at the Democratic Convention last week, I spoke to the entire Virginia delegation on Wednesday morning. Big, full delegation of people. Every last person in that room was feeling devastated by Joe's death, but every last person in that room had at least one, and usually more than one, great Joe Montano stories. Joe Montano was the kind of staffer, and if you know, he ran my Manassas office. I have 6 offices statewide, and Joe ran that office. Joe was the kind of staffer that if you're the candidate and you ever get self-centered, you kind of hate the guy because you would go with him to an event, and the next time if you went and Joe wasn't with you, they didn't want to talk about you. They're like, "Hey, where's Joe? What's Joe up to?" Tell Joe. I said, "I'd like enough about Joe. I'm here." No, people absolutely loved Joe. In fact, the first note that I got from anybody after the word of Joe's death became public was from an extremely prominent Republican in Northern Virginia who has been basically at every campaign Joe has ever worked on in Virginia. This person has been on the other side of that race. This is somebody I know very well who's never supported me. And the person reached right out and said, "I heard about Joe. You gotta tell me what happened. Joe is such a fantastic guy." And that was the attitude that everybody had about Joe, which shows this wisdom that he had. I'll tell you the last day I spent with Joe. It was the Thursday before the convention. I had all this press following me around because people were wondering whether I was going to get asked to be on the Democratic ticket. We had set up a set of events in Northern Virginia, and here they were. A morning event in Arlington to talk to new Americans about immigration issues. A lunch event in Herndon at one of Joe's favorite places, Jimmy's Old Town Tavern, where the guy Jimmy who runs it is this massive Buffalo Bills fan, and you go there and have hamburgers and wings, and it's a wonderful community kind of gathering spot in Herndon. And then a roundtable session on interfaith dialogue at the All Dulles Area Muslim Society, one of the most prominent mosques in Northern Virginia. This was a Joe Montano production, you know, immigration, community gathering place, discussion, an interfaith religious discussion. He and Gaston from his office in Manassas, they set this thing up. It was a Joe Montano production. The beautiful diversity of Virginia, the beautiful diversity of our country, upbeat, fun, but acknowledging challenges. This isn't all sweetness and light. It's not all, everything's great. There's real challenges we're dealing with. But Joe had it pulled together, and the day was so fantastic. And we did the 3 events, and Joe was just, you know, running it to a T, and everybody was glad to see him, and I was so glad to be with him. And then we left the Adams Center, and I gave Joe a hug, and, you know, he said, "Boss, I'll see you up in Philadelphia." And he was just, you know, so upbeat with a big smile on his face. Always had the shades on, too. He was like Hollywood Joe, up there with the shades anytime he was outside. And that was the last time I saw him, just 2 days before he died. Just full of energy, full of life, full of joy, pulling people together to do good things. When I called Mr. and Mrs. Montano on Tuesday to just express my sadness to them over Joe's death, Joe's mom said, I told her about that day. I told her about Joe's happiness and how well it went. And Joe's mom said, that day was Joe saying goodbye to all of us. Just doing what he does, bringing people together, helping people feel welcome, trying to solve problems. That was Joe Montano saying goodbye to us. Teach us how short. Teach us how short our lives are so that we may become wise. Joe taught us. Joe taught us. God bless you all.